What's up Saab fans around the world, and welcome back to another video. Today is an exciting video and I have been shooting this video for the last couple of 3 days. So to begin with, I needed to dyno this car really bad. I wanted to see what power it should make. So I was looking for a hub dyno for a little while and I have two choices. So I went with one of them and I contacted Street Power, and the guy there had an awesome name, Jonas, and he was super kind and really nice to meet. And I went there with the car, really excited to see what power the car should make, and this is the result, so roll the video. So as you could see, it went really well, everything. The car performed, it sounded really aggressive, and it made 413 wheel horsepower and 509.7 wheel newton meters. And converted into crank power, it made 462.5 horsepower and 569.9 newton meters of torque. So it was a pretty good result, but it was not what I had expected. And when I got home, I talked to a little bit of people, Joel, my tuner, amongst others, and they said no way that could be the right result. And Jonas at Street Power said before we started to run that my dyno is really restrictive, and if you go online or check facts, you know that different dynos put out different numbers. That's just the way it is. So he said it was really restrictive, and he had people going from PPF in Sweden, which is a really respectable company. People had dynoed their car like at their shop the day before and went to his dyno the day after, and it was missing 20% of the power somehow. So if we add that 20% to his dyno, which could be the case or not, we don't really know, but in that case the car made 495 wheel horsepower and 611 wheel newton meters of torque. I will put the figures up here so you will see. And in the engine or at the crank we would have 683 newton meters and 555 horsepower, which is very much what we had calculated, or not we, but Joel had calculated before that the car should make. And that is adding in the airflow or the milligrams of air mass it produced or moved, and the boost we were running, and the ignition. So there was a calculation behind it. And other cars he had made a calculation on was like spot on in the dyno. But as I said, different dynos shows different result. So I really wanted to have like a second opinion. So I went to Overtake or Hjalteperformance in Jönköping, which runs a Dyno pack, which is supposed to give a little bit higher numbers than other dynos. But anyways, I went there and this is the result of it. So it seemed that everything went pretty well, but it didn't perform as it should. And it sounded much nicer, not as aggressive as the first one. So the power there, we got 396.5 wheel horsepower and 515 wheel newton meters, and that is really low. That is actually lower than the other dyno that should be really restrictive, so something wasn't working there. The car drove as it should, but I don't know if it got heat soaked or anything, but somehow it didn't perform at its top level, so the other dyno was pretty much useless. So I'm gonna show you some of the dyno papers right now. So this whole dyno situation got a little bit messy, but here I have some papers, and this is the calculated numbers. Here we have the boost that I'm running, and we also have the power that it should make, and we have the air mass from a previous run. Here the top level is 1590 milligrams of air, and it actually makes a little bit over 1600 right now, which is the goal. So by the calculation, the car should have 562 horsepower and 663 newton meters approximately, give or take. And by the calculated from the first dyno, if we look at the graphs, so here we have the calculated graph, so we have the power and the torque, and here we have the actual dyno paper. As you can see, they look pretty similar. So here we have the power band, and here we have the torque, and it is pretty much the same. And here we have the numbers it should have produced if we added like 20%. So as you can see, 683 newton meters, and what we had calculated was 663 and 555, and we had calculated 562. And this is from the second dyno attempt, and here you can see that the curve is not what it should be. Now it's a little bit right there. You can see that the torque is not moving as it should, and not the power band either. It's a little bit messed up, and it doesn't pull all the way like it did right here. Here you can see it just goes, and then we hit the rev limiter. So here it starts to bow down right before, so something was really wrong when I went to Hjalteperformance. So that should not count for. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed the content. It didn't came out as it should, but just let's say that the car is making very close to 500, but this build series is for 500, so of course I will not give up right now. So we will do some adjustments, we will check some stuff, make sure that the car is running and driving, and then I'm gonna hit the dyno again, because I want to have the power numbers on paper, but because I'm 100% positive that the car could make it. It's just gonna be at the right time, at the right dyno, and we have everything lined up. So it's just keep on pushing, and eventually we will get the numbers. But the car moves like a beast, and it's not a big fault on it. It doesn't have any fault codes or anything. It runs, but the top power wasn't there just that second time at the dyno, and now I'm a little bit tired. I can't just be dynoing the car all the time because this costs a lot of money. But a huge shout out goes to Joel, Erik, Gerard and Petrus that did support me during this time. It was really hard, and thanks to you guys I could perform these two dynos really quick after each other at least. So be sure to subscribe to the channel, give it a like, and if you have any questions please comment down below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!